today officially. They do have some traffic control going through there to get people in and out of their residences and what have you. They've already started reclaiming the road, so it is full steam ahead. So just want to remind everybody, if that's a path you normally take, if you could take another path for the next couple of weeks, it'd probably be a good idea as they start this project, and it's a desperately needed project as well. So, thank you.
Very good, thank you.
My turn.
Commissioner. All right, go right ahead. Then we'll go to Danny.
Okay, or Danny, do you want to go first?
I'm sorry?
Do you have anything?
No, sir, it was just something I was talking about.
Well, everybody else has
Okay.
something.
Well, we thought you might
Come on,
too.
you got
Okay,
something.
starting a week from today, we are going to start the Old Highway Road Drainage and Road Reclamation Project, Phase 1. Old Highway Road, as a lot of people know that travel it, floods bad. I'm losing road. We can't really fix the road all the way until we get the water problem issue solved. So starting from 2063 Old Highway Road, it's going to go about 0.6 of a mile south to Mercado Bridge. Both sides of the road, reclaim the ditches. We're going to install over, I think, 70 culvert pipes, entrances. This is a contractor doing this. It's going to take, they have slated 6 to 8 weeks. They just have that as a cushion. It's going to probably get done quicker than that. We are going to have roadway marking signs. We are going to ask that the speed limit is reduced to 25 miles an hour between the signs where the contractor is working for safety. That's not for the whole road, and that's just when they're working. So we are getting flyers sent out to the public this week to kind of let everybody know. If anybody has any questions, they can let me know. This is an engineered project by Civil Corp. This isn't something we pulled out of our hat. It's going to help the drainage. Both sides of the ditch are going to get cleaned, new pipes installed, and then the next part, we're going to work from there to Tinspur. So that's all we got.
Thank you, Commissioner.
You're welcome. Thank you
And
for the
nothing from
time.
you, Commissioner Garcia.
We're
Well, you're
good.
bound to have something going on over
Good
there.
in precinct 1. All right. Very good. Well, we will move right along then in the agenda. Item number 4 is to consider approval of minutes and take appropriate action. Each of you have a copy of those minutes in your agenda packets.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 5, consider approval of accounts payable and take appropriate action.
Accounts payable, as of September 8th, 2025, are $149,573.30. Supplemental payments are $156,785.76.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Michelle. Item 6 is to receive monthly and quarterly reports from various county officials and departments and take appropriate action.
Good morning. Today we have monthly reports from the county auditor, sheriff, fire marshal, justices of the peace precincts numbers 2 and 4, and constables precincts numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Move to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 7, consider approval of bond forfeiture releases and take appropriate action.
I'd ask for a motion to approve as per entry into the record.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Heidi. Item 8 is to consider approval of Citizens Medical Center interim vendor payments. Let's see, they did not send us those by this morning, so we'll pass on that.
Okay.
And have those included along with next week's. Item 9 then is to consider the following in connection with the terminal replacement project at Victoria Regional Airport. A is to approve a contract with Centurion Planning and Design in the amount of $2,759,999 to perform design services, and B, authorize an immediate start of the project ahead of the Texas Department of Transportation reimbursement grant scheduled for the Texas Transportation Commission approval on September 25th. Lenny, hello again.
How are you doing, sir?
All right.
So this is a project that will be funded by the grant that I brought to you guys last week, which is the TechStack grant, $2.77 million, being $2.5 million funded by the rider that we got from Senator Cohorts.
Right, and a local match not to exceed
10%.
to 250.
200,000.
Okay. I remember-
27777. 277,000.
I'm still confused on that.
Okay, which was what I said last week.
The total grant is $2,700,777. And the reason is because what the math that they do is they divide 2.5 million by .90.
Okay, wait, no, that's not what I said last week. It seemed.
Anything over,
It was a
everything
percentage.
over 250 is 100%
Right.
local. But you're saying 277 max.
Correct. That's the 10%.
Okay,
They don't calculate it straight like 10% like you do the
okay.
math.
okay.
Like it would be $250,000. But the formulas that the FAA and TechStat does is they divide the total amount of the grant, the 2.5 million, by .90, which is the 90%, and that gives you $277,000 and change. So that's the 10%.
Okay,
That's how,
so the
that's how the
local portion-
FAA.
So what's our number
Yeah,
That's the
277.
277.
that we could be on, that we'd be
We
on?
will be
We on-
paying that.
That's what I'm wondering. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And of course, it is a reimbursement grant, so.
It's a
we
reimbursement.
pay
Sure.
And then
Okay.
get everything
They
reimbursed.
get everything reimbursed.
This
Okay.
is for design for the terminal, correct?
Less two-
Design of the terminal. I'm working with TechStat. TechStat is, they had agreed that there is no issues with us starting the project. They had told me that a couple months ago when we knew about this, but we were not ready at the time. This grant actually will get approved at the Texas Transportation Commission meeting on the 25th of this month.
Okay.
So there is not much of a gap. The reason why I would like to start this project right away is because the NOFA for the airport terminal on the federal airport terminal grants is not out yet.
Okay.
And usually, when you put the application, there's a couple of questions that they ask you. One is your NEPA environmental done? And ours is, just needs the signature of the FAA. We have gone through the NEPA environmental, and we had a question on Friday. That was answered, sent back to the FAA this morning. We should get the approval from the FAA on that environmental probably
Okay.
this week. And also, there's a question that asks you if you are ready with your design.
Yeah.
We always say no. So at this point, we can put in progress, and what we try to do is get this design on the move and get it possibly almost done by the time the funds are available for that grant.
Okay.
So remember, we do the application on that NOFO probably later this month, hopefully. And we will not hear from that probably until the first part of next year. And that probably the funds for that will be available maybe in May.
Okay.
So there's a good period of time in which that design could be on its way and almost finished by then. And that's good because
Yes.
we're coming in, we're not coming in like before. We didn't have an environmental, we didn't have a design or a design underway. And there was no reason to do an environmental at the time because we didn't have any money to get it done. So I used some airport funds to get the environmental out of the way, not expensive at all. But we're on the move on this. So that's the reason why I request that to be, and in all honesty, by the time everything starts getting billed, they move through the scope of work, the grant will probably be approved and the first payment will not come until a month from now, which the grant will be already in place.
Because you were saying that's probably what got us last time, or the time before, is because we didn't have a design
Well,
already.
the reality, Commissioner, is that a lot of airports out there, they already have a design done.
Yeah,
And when people show up to the table with a design done, then those are the people who have been getting the money.
makes sense. Makes sense.
Lenny, on this grant for the terminal, is it possible, I mean, is it like for a brand-new facility, or is it where you can remodel and add on to the existing?
This is a brand-new facility.
It can't be used in coordination with the one we have now?
We never look at that option because of the size of the terminal. We kind of looked at the idea, but the cost would be probably just as expensive because the way the terminal is designed, you would have to tear
Okay.
down the great part of it, which it would probably serve a better purpose to redesign a little bit at a future date to make the FBO building that is very needed at the airport.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion to approve 9A and B?
So moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions for Lenny?
No, I just want to make sure, because we tossed this back and forth multiple times last week. So the maximum amount of match from the county for this entire grant would be in the range of 277,000. Is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Okay.
And it's returnable.
Not the
It's
270.
Not the 277. It's not reimbursed?
Say it again?
That would represent our local match.
That would
that
be
we
the
do.
local
match.
Yeah, and to be clear, that's the local match for this one TxDOT grant. The overall project itself will be a much larger local match, as everyone here is aware.
Correct.
It'll basically be a three-part effort, some federal funds, the state funds, and then the county will be covering the local portion. There were conversations about perhaps the sales tax corp or the city participating. That will not be a possibility, as it turns out. So there will be a local portion, but we're prepared to cover that in pursuit of this awesome project that frankly sets the stage for more, I think, more routes coming to Victoria. And even with what we've got now, there's need for a larger space. So this is excellent, and thank you for your diligent work on this, Lenny.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Lenny.
So we had a second. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item number 10 is to consider approval of and authorize the county judge to execute the annual routine airport maintenance project ramp grant agreement for the Victoria Regional Airport and take appropriate action.
So Judge, this is another way that I can show you how the 10% works and how the 10% is higher than that. This is a $100,000 routine maintenance grant, right? But in order to get $90,000 of 100, we have to spend $111,111. So you have to, that's the 100,000 divided by 0.90 gives you that number. And if you look in that grant, that's the amount that we have to spend. This grant is been a grant that the Department of Transportation here in Texas has offered to airports, in which it's not in reality a grant that you get to spend the way you want. This is anything that you do in maintenance at the airport. For example, if you have to repaint your airfield, and that costs you $50,000. We send that, we gather up all those receipts once a year. You could do it many times, but we like to do it once a year. And if we have painted the runway for $50,000, we had, done some concrete work for another $50,000, that's $100,000, and then another $11,000 in miscellaneous. You put that all together, we send it to the DOT, they look at it, they approve it, and then we get 90% of that back, which is really good because it allows us to do extra maintenance at the airport when we get those funds back. We recently did our application, and we should be getting our wire transfer pretty soon. I haven't seen it yet, but we spend well over $11,000 maintaining the airport. So it's a great grant, comes every year, and this has been the routine. I've been bringing this grant every year to you
Yeah.
guys.
Lenny, on the match, I guess for me, the confusion.
There's no
was-
match in this one, by
No,
the way.
the one that you talked about, let me show you why it works the way it works.
Mhm.
To me, is the grant plus 10%. When you say they divide it and they make you spend the extra money on it, it's actually the amount of the grant plus 10%. That was the confusion for me. And that's why I sat there and I'm like, I don't know if I want to vote for that.
Well,
But if that's the way it works, then that's the way it works.
that's the way it works. All the federal and state agencies use that math.
All right. Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 11 is to consider approval of payment application number 1 to Wolin LLC in the amount of $217,008.50 for equipment at the Air Traffic Control Tower at Victoria Regional Airport, and take appropriate action.
Judge and Commissioners, this is an ongoing grant that we have at the airport to replace all the radios and equipment in the tower cab. This is actually a reimbursable grant. So once we put this invoice through the system and it gets paid, we can apply for reimbursement to the FAA for 90% of these funds. In this particular project, this project is got a lot of peculiarities due to the fact that all the radios that are purchased to be installed in the tower have to be tuned and have to be put in the proper frequency for our tower. So these radios don't come to me when they're delivered by the factory. The radios go to the contractor and they work on them, get them ready, and eventually next month they will be here at the airport to install all of that. The reason why the radios have been trickling down to the contractor's headquarters is the fact that most of these radios were in back order and they're still waiting for what we call the ATIS switch to be delivered. Once they get that ATIS switch, they will come to the airport, and they told me that first part of October, they will receive that. But the fact of the matter is that this company has invested all this money and is holding on to all these radios, and they had asked me if it is possible to pay them for this ahead of them bringing the radios over here. Usually on a grant like this, we sign the paperwork, it goes to the office of the Michelle, Michelle's office, gets approved, gets paid, and there is no problems, we get reimbursed. But in this one, since we don't have the radios and the county does not pay unless we have the materials on hand or the project is finished, I just wanted to come to you guys and ask you if you're okay with it. I'm perfectly okay because this is the federal grant, it's part of the process, and every tower in the country has to go through this process. I don't need to have the radios in my office holding until they come and do the project. I wouldn't know what to do with it.
You've discussed this with Michelle and that group?
I did, and that's why we're here.
Michelle?
Yes, sir. This is, like you said, it's a little different because this is equipment that we don't have here, but we do it with vehicles also, like the
Yeah.
sheriff's vehicles that need to be rigged out. We pay for the vehicle and then we send them to another vendor who does different work on them for us. So what Lenny's asking is similar to that. We don't physically have the radios here, but they'll be in a different vendor for them to get them ready to come here.
Good deal. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Larry.
Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Item 12 is consider approval of RTK Network CMRX subscription agreement between Alterra Central and Victoria County and take appropriate action. Good morning, Avery.
Morning, Judge. Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Avery.
This software is an accessory software for the handheld GPS unit that we purchased through this year's budget. It's through a DIR contract. This particular software is a real-time data correction subscription service that's provided to us by Alterra. They're the provider of the GPS unit itself. This will increase our accuracy without vertical obstructions from 1 meter to 1 centimeter, horizontal and vertical accuracy. So our office is very excited about the capability of this GPS unit, and this software will provide us with some enhanced data collection capabilities.
I'm excited about it too. Good work. On the purchase of this, Avery, is that something that we do through buy board, or we didn't have to put that up for bid, did we?
No, sir. So this was part of a DIR contract, so it's all been pre-negotiated with the state of Texas, available for all public entities that are part of that DIR contract. This was included as part of the quote with the device itself. However, everything else on that quote was a one-time purchase. This is a subscription with a $2,000 initial fee and then a $1,000 annual subscription for renewal.
Okay.
Good deal.
That's why we wanted to bring it to the court.
Okay.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on item number 12. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Thank you, Avery. Now, we are on item number 13. And that is pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 111.067, hold a public hearing on the 2026 proposed Victoria County budget. The public hearing for that purpose is now open as required under the law. We have, of course, posted a copy of that proposed budget on our website. It's been available for weeks now for public inspection, and the hearing related to that is now open. Mr. Zook? No one wants to get in front of you on this, so it's,
I wish I'd been to all the meetings, and Mr. Lenny here was talking about fuzzy math, and then I might be able to understand your budgets, but I've never heard of this Commissioner's Court giving money before something was actually delivered, and delivering it kind of reminds me of a story I had, since I've got the entire day now in public hearing. I went and hired a tile guy a couple months ago, and said he will we'll put this tile together, we'll fix everything up and make it the prettiest stuff, and we'll haul off the garbage. Well, he forgot to tell me that, well, I'm finished with the job, can I get paid? The garbage hadn't been hauled off yet. I'll be here tomorrow. I don't know about that. I said, oh, you can trust me. Well, the garbage was never hauled off. It's still sitting in front of, over on Towel Street, and I did haul it off for that guy. But giving money to that's rather unique, guys. But I guess I'm not that
yeah,
smart.
really not unique at all,
Well,
although
I
normally.
would never, let's just say on my nickel, I'd never give a radio guy an extra $1 for something, for a promise that may come true someday down the road. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Lenny kind of brought me another thing I'd heard from Mr. Shepherd over at the VISD. Budgets are in education is complex, but it doesn't have to be complicated. But I did wake up at 3 o'clock this morning and went through the county budget and find a lot of real interesting things. And I know that I'm not very smart anymore, so maybe y'all can help. Number one, if you're not increasing revenue on property tax and sales tax revenue is flat, how do we get a 7.2% increase in expenditures? 7.02, excuse me. That's my first question. Our property tax rate, it says no new revenue, and I looked at y'all's revenue forecast. It's no new revenue, basically. And sales tax is the same. How can you increase expenditures 7%, 7.01%? That's a question.
Yeah, I'm happy to explain this, and I did explain this during our budget workshops. I know you did not have the chance to
No, I
attend
didn't
that,
attend.
so I'll recap and repeat what I explained there. This budget is, as you correctly noted, is going to be based on the no new revenue rate, which requires a cut to our current tax rate. Reducing that to the no new revenue rate, which from ad valorem revenues brings in only an extra probably $300,000 or so. So you are correct. At the same time, we cut the tax rate and adopted the no new revenue rate. At the same time, we put a significant new investment in public safety salaries. An 8% increase, no less, for about 240 personnel in the sheriff's office, in the Office of Emergency Management, in the ARF division over at the airport, and for our constables. And so that was a lot of money. When you look at the amount of that, it was millions. And also, we had another significant addition to employee compensation, and that was with the 27th pay period. About every 11 years, we catch a 27th pay period, within the same fiscal year. Most entities choose to reduce hourly pay, and then add that extra pay period to where the amount stays the same. And you know how this works, Dale. Commissioners Court did not want to reduce anybody's hourly pay. So what we did was to fund additionally that 27th pay period, which equates to about a 3.8% increase. So you raise a very valid question. We cut the tax rate, which actually yields a tax cut for, and you'll see it on the taxpayer impact statement, a tax cut at the same time when most entities are raising taxes. So that in and of itself is remarkable. And then additionally, giving an 8% multi-million-dollar increase to public safety salaries, that's quite a feat. How did we do that? A few reasons in particular. Number one, there were some one-time expenses in 2026, most notably the 27th pay period that we had strategically matched with one-time funding from our fund balance. As you know, Victoria County takes a very conservative and careful approach to both our budgeting and our spending every year, very careful with the budget. And so we had money available for things just like this, where a one-time expenditure comes up. We're not able to, not having to reduce pay or diminish services. So we covered that one-time expense with some one-time funding. Additionally, the significant increase in our fire EMS contract with the city, about $600,000, we felt that a portion of that was non-recurring due to some equipment purchases, so we were able to match that with some one-time funding. But beyond that, there were other strategic and smart things we did that enable us to accomplish all that we did while at the same time cutting taxes. One of them was a concept that I know you're very familiar with, and that is the concept of float or anticipated float. Many public entities are well aware of the predictable, unfilled positions within a large organization, but they still budget for the full 100% and then are forced to go up on taxes while ending up with a significant surplus due to those unfilled positions. What we did, both carefully and strategically, was to anticipate what we felt would be a realistic amount of float or unspent salaries, most notably in the sheriff's office, where there's, probably a couple dozen vacancies. And rather than ending with a surplus at the end of the year, i.e., as some would consider overtaxing, we utilize that float on the front end to be able to apply that money to the salaries that we did. So that was one of the aspects that we were able to achieve this. Others include our sales tax revenues were actually up a hair year over year. A significant source of new money was in the Juvenile Detention Center. As you are aware, we began an effort years back. It made headlines at the time, but has proven to be very beneficial. We've increased rates for the many dozens of counties that utilize our juvenile detention facility. We've increased rates that over the years has led to a continual increase in our revenue. That, coupled with the heightened utilization of inmates per day, has led to a significant year-over-year increase in revenues there. About $700,000. I'm going off from memory here. I don't have it in front of me. So about a $700,000 year-over-year increase in usage fees from other counties. Additionally, we continue to get some very strong rates in our interest income. That'll be diminishing over the coming years, but that, I forget what we budgeted there. I think it was near seven figures. Also, going through a line-by-line effort of looking to where we can consolidate costs, cut costs. So those are the main technical reasons and ways we were able to achieve all that we did, but really the overarching reason and the why behind it is because we made it a priority. Victoria County made it a priority to cut the tax rate and adopt the no new revenue rate. When you go into a budget year with that being the priority, it's a lot easier to do. Most entities don't do that, but we went into this budget year saying and thinking and knowing that Most entities around are raising taxes. Most taxpayers are being hit from every direction with increasing taxes and tax rates. We said purposefully that we weren't going to be part of that, and instead we were going to continue in the long-standing and well-established tradition that Victoria County has done in being respectful of our taxpayers, looking truly to save money, to do more with less. So we did that. Not increasing taxes, and indeed cutting the tax rate was a priority. But we also had it as a priority to increase law enforcement pay. As you're aware, there's been a challenge in recruiting and retaining public safety personnel all across the state, frankly, and particularly in our region, with the Victoria County Sheriff's Office being the leading law enforcement agency in our region of Texas. We felt it was, again, a priority to remain the most competitive employer on the law enforcement front. And so we looked at what would it take to maintain our standing as the top employer for folks who want to get in a law enforcement career or stay in a law enforcement career. In many conversations with the sheriff and others, we determined that to maintain our competitiveness, it would take 8%, an 8% increase for all law enforcement personnel, and then others in the public safety realm. So that was a priority as well. Unlike other entities, we don't see these things as being mutually exclusive, but when things are done correctly, when budgets are conservative, when this is something that we actually believe rather than just talk about, that's really not that difficult. And so that's what we achieved. At the same time we did that, we did a lot of other things that may not be on your list there, such as insurance premiums for employees. That, of course, has been increasing rapidly, both in the private and in the public sector. And even here in Victoria County, prescription drug costs, health insurance costs, going up and up and up at double-digit rates. But another priority that we had early on is that we did not want to pass any of those expenses on to our employees. Outside of the public safety law enforcement increase, we didn't have the money to do an across-the-board cost of living increase or a raise, which we were not happy about. We wanted to do that. It just wasn't possible. But we did, in that environment of not being able to do a COLA, we certainly did not want to pass on any increased insurance premiums. So there again, we made that a priority, and we were benefited by good planning in prior years wherein we shored up our health insurance fund, funding anticipated increases on the front end rather than having to cover anything from fund balance after the fact. So we achieved that. We achieved that, the 8% for law enforcement, the no increase of health insurance premiums for employees, the 27th pay period, acting as truly an extra paycheck rather than cutting other paychecks so that it'll even out. That hasn't happened in many other places, but we were able to have it happen here, again, due to the priorities of this court, where conservative budgeting and smart spending are not just things we talk about, but things that we actually do, budget after budget, year after year, and that again happened this year. So I went through that during our budget hearings, but there's a synopsis of what was largely discussed at that time.
I'm sorry for not having been there. I'm sure it was quite
Well,
entertaining. But I do have
riveting.
two other small questions, okay? I never doubted the fiscal conservatism. I never doubted the complex being not so complicated. But I do have a couple more questions. And on the debt rate has increased significantly in the last several years. I think I've talked to all of y'all about the need to borrow sometimes for long-term capital. This year we took we're increasing the debt rate by about a third. What is the taxpayers getting for the value of that debt?
A lot. And I'll point out that the debt rate, I'll back up. For those following online, our county tax rate is comprised of three individual rates. Our general rate, our road and bridge rate, and then our debt rate, all added together, which form the total current, or the current tax rate that people look at and care about. That current rate is 38, or will be 38.53 cents after we cut it back. In spite of the total rate being cut back, the debt rate has increased, and that is by design and on purpose. What do we get for that? A big portion of that is certificates of obligations we've used to fund projects at our hospital. And while that is an increase in our debt rate, those funds are a flow-through that the hospital itself will actually, debt that the hospital will actually service. So since we own the hospital, the debt is on our books, but via a MOU that we entered into last time we did this, and an MOU that we're going to be entering into on September 29th. Those are flow-through dollars. About $14.9 million of that increased debt service is a flow-through from the hospital. The other amount, which we'll be discussing shortly, an amount between $10 and $15 million, will be for county projects. What does the public get from that? Well, with the hospital, an emergency room, a modern intensive care unit, elevators that work, and overall an excellent complex.
I know about those.
It's a big campus with a big expense, and one of the largest, frankly, employers, whether public or private, anywhere in the region, though. The hospital keeps its books separately, but they employ 1,200 people, a payroll in the, a couple $100 million. So what does the public get? A modern ER, a modern ICU, a local hospital that's available to our community and to our region that employs over 1,000 people. Additionally, what do we get for the other side of the COs? The old Guadalupe School, which will now be serving as a regional public safety center, a training facility for the sheriff's office and other entities in our region. A lot of that is routine maintenance and upkeep, large-scale things, HVAC, roofs. We're all aware of entities around here who have let those things go to the back burner and end up with a significant cost when things have to be replaced. A lot of this has been HVAC, roof, plumbing, various renovations. A lot of it has been at what we call the 311 building, the old Victoria Advocate building, which both serves as county office space, as well as we have some tenants in there. This has also been improvements at the Patty Dotson Health Center for our own use, as well as to expand, or will be to expand, the footprint of the CAD, which is a paying tenant there. We get a pretty good rental check from them. So what am I missing? That's probably the biggest. Oh, animal services, thank you. As you're also aware, and I see Mark here, it became obvious a couple years ago. Well, how long have you been here, Mark?
3 years.
3 years ago, that animal control, as we called it then, needed to be revamped, both in priorities and in purpose, and also in investment and in manpower and in resources. At that time, we, of course, hired Mark as the new director with the direction of changing the trajectory and focus of animal services. And we changed the name, too, to underscore that change in priority. So we went from animal control to animal services with some objectives, lowering the kill rate at the pound, the animal facility, increasing adoption rates, increasing public education, increasing awareness, having more on-the-ground personnel to assist with issues that the community has, a specific focus being in Bloomington, and also a new facility that we've put probably a couple $1 million into. An old building that was donated that then required a lot of renovation. That's been a couple $1 million. We, of course, provide this service to the city of Victoria, to the city council, who has the responsibility for animal control ordinances within the city limits, but via our interlocal agreement, that's something we do for them, and we wanted to do it better and wanted to do it well, and that's what's happening now. So a big portion of that was our animal services facility. That with
Judge,
roofs
The
and,
one thing that you haven't mentioned, although it is mostly funded through state funds, we still have some expense on the mental health facility.
yeah, that will likely be some local expense. I don't know if that would come from the CO, probably not, but there could be a local cost share. The things I've mentioned are all significant, but it's really not all of what's going on. As Commissioner Garcia noted, we are building a mental health hospital, almost exclusively funded through state funds, but there will be some local expenses associated with that. Next door to that, we also have our emergency response complex that a large grant is helping to cover, but it's not going to cover all of it. Additionally, as we discussed earlier, the airport terminal is another of our priorities that, if we are successful getting that grant, will be some local dollars as well. So what does the public get for it? Quite a bit more than what they're getting anywhere else, I would say.
And also the county jail.
And
County
that,
jail, the transformer project and all that.
yeah.
That's where some of it's going as well. The jail needs a lot of help.
Gentlemen, this has been a good education for the public. Once
Hang on.
again, I thank the county
Dale.
commissioner. Yes, sir.
Commissioner Martin thought of
Hang on.
something
Excuse me.
else.
Also working on relocating the shooting range from the sheriff's office that's currently located on Timber Drive. There's been public concern over that, so there's also in the plans of relocating that out to the Guadalupe School and updating that and removing it from the Timber Road area.
Excellent. I'm sure that'll be nice to be able to hear from Bueller Street, Bueller Road. It's only
No.
about a mile and a half from my place over there. And the new animal control is only 100 feet from one of my rent houses back door, so
You'll never hear a
You'll
peep.
appreciate that.
I'm sure my renters will appreciate that.
Okay.
Anyway, thank
it's
you all
all
very
inside
much.
deal.
Good report, and I have nothing else to say.
Thank you, Dale. We
Congratulations.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you,
Thank you, Dale.
All right, the public hearing remains open related to the 2026 proposed budget. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to that subject? The hearing for the tax rate will occur on the 29th when we actually adopt the budget. Due to some calendar complexities, that's just how it had to work. But anybody that wants to speak to the tax rate, I think that would also be germane to this, so we'll let that be eligible as well. Something else? Okay.
Explain the difference between the no new revenue rate and what we used to call the effective yield.
Sure. Well, back in the day,
Did everybody hear the question?
Repeat that question, Joe.
oh, the difference
for
between
new.
the no new revenue rate and the effective tax rate, yeah. They're the same thing, the name has simply changed. The effective tax rate is what we have always known it to be, the rate that brings in the same amount of tax revenue in the next year as tax revenue, as homes taxed in the current year and the next year. That is the tax rate that holds constant, holds flat tax revenue from existing properties. That's always been called the effective tax rate, but with some legislation, I think in 2019, 2021, the name was changed to the no new revenue rate, the rate that essentially brings in no new revenue from existing properties. New properties added to the tax roll, of course, can add some new revenue, and we got some new revenue, but for practical purposes, the effective tax rate and the no new revenue rate are the same thing. And that's what we did this year. All right, anything else before we close the public hearing on item 13? If there is not, the public hearing is now closed, and we will move on to item number 14, and that is to announce the date, time, and place for consideration of 2026 Victoria County budget and 2025 tax rate and take appropriate action. As we've discussed many times before, that vote will occur on Monday, September 29th, right here in this courtroom at 10 a.m. Again, the adoption of the budget and the tax rate will be September 29th, 2025 at 10 a.m. as part of our normal agenda. Any questions or discussion related to that?
Do you need a motion for that, or that's
No,
just an announcement? Okay.
You know, to be on the safe side, let's formally
Okay.
vote to set that as the date, time, and place for
So moved.
consideration.
Second.
Okay, we have that as a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. All right, moving right along, and thank you for your questions, Mr. Zook. We don't get, I guess, many folks from the public, but your questions are always hard-hitting and make us all better, I think.
Well, they're good questions.
Very good. Item 15 is pursuant to VTCA Transportation Code 251151, hold a public hearing on proposed changes to traffic regulations in Victoria County, Precinct 3, and take appropriate action. Commissioner Martin, I believe you have the details there.
Yes, these are all located in Precinct 3, and I want to go over them real quickly. I'm going to go over the stop sign installations at the following intersections: Duck Drive at Bob White Road intersection, Duck Drive at Turkey Lane intersection, Owl Drive at Quail Creek Drive intersection, Josephine Lane at Old Goliad Road. There's a stop sign relocation at the following: existing Turkey Lane at Chucker Drive intersection, stop sign relocation to Chucker Drive at Turkey Lane to stop southbound traffic. And there's also a posted speed limit sign for Deeble Road from Colettoville Road to Old Goliad Road at 40 miles an hour.
Very good.
Commissioner, those first four, you said those are new installations,
Yeah.
correct? Okay,
Correct.
okay.
All right, the hearing is open for that topic. Anybody wishing to speak to that? Questions for Commissioner Martin? Seeing no one, the public hearing is now closed. And let's see, do we need a vote to actually adopt those, or is this merely the hearing?
No,
I think we should.
Yeah, we probably
take
should.
appropriate action.
Okay.
Move
All right.
for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt what was read by Commissioner Martin, and was also in your agenda packets. All those in favor of approval?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 16 is to consider approval of Resolution 2025-075 for a donation to Victoria County Animal Services from James Wayne Properties valued at $150 to cover permitting fees associated with the Dogs on Deleon event and take appropriate action.
Pretty simple, straightforward, is what it is. James Wayne Properties, Tina Wayne in particular, has been very, very helpful and supportive of what we're doing. So she paid the use fees on that, and just helps us mitigate some of the costs of holding an event like that, and appreciate her commitment to us and what we're doing.
We certainly do
Yeah.
appreciate
We do
her
appreciate
support
it.
on this and everything else
Move to receive.
related
Second.
to animal services. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 17, receive a letter of permission to enter the private property of Bridget Crouch located at 922 Old Goliad Road for the purpose of conducting drainage improvements in Precinct 3 and take appropriate action.
Move to receive.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. Item 18 is to consider approval of the following detention and/or residential contracts for the Victoria Regional Juvenile Justice Center. A, Kendall County; B, Comal County; C, Zapata County; D, Caldwell County; E, Crane County; F, Rusk County; G, DeWitt County; and H, Panola County.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion approved. I have all those on my desk downstairs to sign down there.
Okay.
To speed things up. Because next we have what may be a lengthy discussion. Last week, of course, we had talked about what amount our county side CO issue should be. We posted or published a notice of intent over and above what we thought we needed, just to give us some flexibility. In our prior discussions about this, we were assuming $10 million for the county side projects of this CO. However, as y'all will all recall, as we went through these projects a few weeks back, they totaled more than that $10 million. So the primary purpose of this discussion is to review those projects and to determine what amount we want to issue for these COs. An amount over $10 million, it's apparent to me, but what is that exact amount? I have an idea of what I think it is, but based on this discussion, I think we should be able to come up with some consensus on what amount we're comfortable issuing and what amount we think we need. Let's see, Avery, John, Sarah, I think y'all are gonna steer the ship from here on out. What is that? Do you have paper
Yes,
copies?
please.
Okay.
I saw the email, thanks for putting that out.
I hate you.
Thank you, Sarah.
I signed my documents Thursday.
Yeah, I have one. I'm good.
Excuse us. I've got mine in illegal format,
I can see it.
not by 8.5 by 11.
All right, Avery.
Yes, sir. So just to kind of kick things off, I'd like to bring your attention to the total. It's on the second to last page of your print handout. That proposed 2026 total CO amount is for $17,939,394.09. That is a sum total of every project listed as medium and high priority by the court for proposed inclusion in the 2026 CO issue.
Okay, so that would be the high water mark, certainly. Does that
Correct.
figure include the 311 building?
Do not believe that it does. So if you'll recall, one of the major adds to that total from our previous discussion were improvements at the jail. That estimate alone by itself is $6 million.
But that's not in here.
The jail improvements are in this CO bond issue.
Okay, what,
That is HVAC and other mechanical, electrical
okay,
equipment upgrades.
but we determined, I think, or thought that most of those we weren't wanting to do, given the discussion about possibly a new jail 7, 8, 10 years down the road. Would it make sense to do all that, knowing that we wouldn't be using that building? I mean, were we talking about the same thing?
Correct. Yes, sir. So
Okay.
we had brought that up for discussion, and the takeaway was that we should include it as an estimate for court to consider whether or not we were going to build a new jail as, you know, the condition kind of warrants and its overall lifespan of that infrastructure. So in this case, that would be an item that could be removed and drop that 2026 total.
Of that amount, the 6 million, how much of that, I know it's noting HVAC and plumbing. Are there elements of HVAC or plumbing that would have to be done now, even knowing that it could be 5, 6 years only that building would be utilized?
We can certainly evaluate parceling out some of that scope. The individual improvements may cost more than the grand sum total of addressing all the issues at once, you know, as they would at an economy of scale, addressing everything at once. You know, we certainly can continue the approach as things fail to go ahead and correct them. That being said, for the purposes of this cost exercise, the original estimate that we had provided and working with Kelly was to address everything all at once. So this would be in the case that it's not in our long-term forecast to build a new jail within, say, 10 years.
Yeah, I know there's different schools of thought on the timeline of that. I've always said 6 to 10 years down the road. Which is really a whole nother discussion we haven't really begun yet. So just for the sake of discussion, if we were to remove that project, we would be sitting at 11.9 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I'm glancing through this to see what we regarded as low.
Every, the cost projections.
Heritage Building.
Are based on, how did y'all come up with that number?
So depending on the project, it varies. For projects where we had light construction, we looked at previous dollar amounts, previous contract amounts from prior years, adjusted them for inflation using the annual inflation rate, and then adding some contingency where the scope items were not 100% clear, and especially in projects where we don't have firm design documents. We tried to include a ballpark cost, say somewhere 10-15% for design for projects that would require the involvement of either a professional engineering firm or professional architectural services. And then, of course, some of the projects that touch historical buildings require additional permitting and, incidental fees that would be attached.
Plus contingency,
Correct, plus some contingency.
percentage of contingency.
It varies by project, so it could be anywhere from just 5% to as high as 20%. And again, that's just,
We're looking at my mic. So all these numbers we're looking at, they're all on the higher end.
correct,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, this is designed to be a conservative cost estimate.
Exactly.
Just not knowing the entire detailed scope of work.
Okay. So for the sake of discussion, if we took the 6 million out, we're sitting at 11.9. Are there any of the things currently classified as low priority that we want to review? The,
7 courthouse improvements on second page.
okay. I know we have the 1892 renovation of the third floor. We don't know yet what we're gonna do, so that probably should be not included.
The Big Bend Road rehab, Judge, we had talked, kind of just mentioned that, because we asked you guys to help with general fund money to buy that machine
Yeah.
for us, that we would be willing to use the road crew to help with that. Of course, we'd still need some engineering work on it, but I think we could
I
probably.
feel really good about using the road crew on that
I do too.
project.
I think it'd be good.
They can handle that. That's right down their road, cup of tea. And that would,
Yeah.
I agree with the Commissioner. We bought this new machine. It'd be good if we could
Okay.
use it here.
I'm good with that.
That would help a little bit, Judge. That's
Yeah, it would.
1.5 million on.
Yeah. It's
Where,
not in the
what,
total, it's not in the total, but, proposed CO total, but
Correct.
where are you seeing that?
this
Emma?
is,
What page are we on?
It's on
it's
page
the
5.
page before the grand total.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
There are page numbers in the header of the document at the top.
Yeah,
This is
right.
page
Why
5.
isn't it?
Big Bend Road, it's, third from the bottom,
Huh,
airport complex.
I see
Okay,
that.
okay.
Yeah.
So that Big Bend Road is included as part of the, what is now 11.9, but we
No.
really,
No,
No,
it's
so,
No,
so
it's
we have
not.
other
It's not.
other
Have to be
projects.
done, 'cause you don't know
Okay.
where you're gonna get the money
so
from.
you're, okay.
Yeah.
No, I think
You gotta
it's,
look over here.
right.
Is that where we were headed with this? I know we're trying to pare back the expenses on that mental health hospital. Are we anticipating that would,
I think we can do that.
I do too.
And so, although it's not in there, it still leaves a question of how will it be funded if we don't do it?
Right.
okay. So if
Is
the
it-
1.5 is high and we're gonna use our own road crew, what do we think would be a reasonable amount?
How long is the road?
I'll put together a job cost for you guys.
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy. It won't be 1.5 million.
No, heck
No,
no.
it'll be significantly less.
It'll be half
and
that.
It would depend on, what exactly we decide to do, whether it's a 2-course seal code or a single.
Okay, question on that, and maybe this is for Rick McBrayer. Is there any element of our emergency response complex for which we could use this possible expenditure as an in-kind?
That's a good question.
Because it's the road's going to go to both of those facilities.
Yeah, we're not gonna put you on the spot, Rick. We just need an answer.
Yeah, we just need that answer right now. Okay.
I don't know, the land purchase was not, correct?
Correct.
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 Right.
It was,
And there is no money in the mental health facility to do this road.
but we do need to get it done, because it's two of our projects are right on that road, so.
Let me check with the chief over mitigation.
Okay.
Can definitely answer.
Okay. And we may do this regardless, but certainly if it could count towards something that would be advantageous to us, we'd want to pursue that.
So what he has listed on here, Judge, including the contingencies and, it seems to me that we're not gonna have a choice but to go for the higher number on what we were thinking for the CO money.
Well, agreed. If we're sitting at roughly 11.9 now and we want to add the Big Bend Road, assuming Victoria Road Crew doing it, what amount would we plug in? Half of that?
700,000?
I mean, right now, I would say, yeah, at least half.
We're just speculating. I think
Okay.
half would be a pretty good number.
Think 700 or 800, something like that?
That's on the high side.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Yeah, even a two-course,
Yeah.
that's on the high side.
We should probably have some conversation about the airport property and whether or not that is a dedicated right-of-way. Currently, it's not a dedicated, separate, it's just a road on airport property. So there may be some cost associated with the acquisition of the right-of-way.
This also has been a concern with addressing for the property, given that all the roads internal to airport property are technically private drives owned by the airport. It's difficult to say what exactly the name of each section of road is. As y'all may be aware, Google Maps will give you a different road name for sections of Big Bend than Apple Maps, than if somebody's using Waze. Or even our local city-maintained GIS. They show something different.
Okay.
Good deal.
So dedication of public right-of-way would address that issue.
Okay.
On the
That
van
needs to be done.
fiber for the airport, Avery, is
Yes.
that, the number you have there is $350,000. Is that doing it how?
So that route is coming from the Emerging Technologies Complex on TxDOT right-of-way
Right.
to get across Business
Through
59.
the bridge or?
Yes, sir, from the
Okay.
bridge-mounted, service-mounted conduit.
Okay, and that's needed for both the mental hospital and the emergency response complex?
Just the emergency response complex.
Just the emergency response complex, okay. Okay. Well, that's something that we're gonna be doing
Yeah.
regardless, right?
Correct.
Regardless.
Yes.
Okay, well then, that should be included in this.
And this is included in that total.
Yeah, it should be.
I thought this was low.
Yes, sir. We're showing the original priorities given from our intermediate discussion,
Yeah.
from the first time that we met to when priorities were established. This was indicated that it was going to be higher than a low priority. So we went
Okay.
ahead and included it, but left the original priority rating. given to us by the
Understood,
board.
Yeah.
okay. Are there any other low priorities identified as low that are also included? Where the priority changed?
Yeah, the Profit Drive Complex Phase 3,
We've included for right now,
it's low, but it's.
yeah, the SO
be a bond
warehouse.
amount.
Okay.
Be page, right here.
Okay, so that is in there also. Okay.
67 courthouse improvements are in there too, is low.
Yeah, it is.
Yes, sir.
Judge, 67 courthouse improvements, Phase 2 is low priority, but it's included in it, 450,000.
450.
The moving of it?
Yeah, it's in there.
Now, is that bond
eligible?
eligible? Have we asked that question, Madison? So we have not.
It should be.
It is not eligible to
I
move the
wouldn't-
hotel.
I wouldn't think
It is
that's,
not.
I wouldn't think that's eligible.
No.
Okay.
And that number's included? What do we have on here? If it is, you can take that off.
So,
Yeah, we'll remove that total.
Yeah.
so
Okay.
Judge,
Let's,
Judge, looking at the total that's submitted to us for review, the almost $18 million, even if we were to go with the higher number on the CO, we're still looking at cutting $4 million out of there somewhere. Is that what I'm looking at?
I think the purpose of our exercise on these projects was to demonstrate to the court that there are numerous projects that y'all have discussed in the past and have identified, whether high, medium, or low, and some of the low ones contribute to the success of a medium or high project. If you could identify the bond amount that you're intending to sell, we can further refine and dig into these numbers with more time associated with that. Do pre-engineering work, do some refined cost and estimating contingencies, because we're talking about 3 years in advance to work through these
point.
projects. So some of them are conservative numbers that appear high, and as we drill into them and do some finer analysis, those numbers may be reduced. And we
Okay.
can expand into some lower projects that we're currently cutting to hit a number that y'all are after.
Okay. Thank you, John. Did that answer your question,
Yes,
Commissioner?
sir.
Yeah, I mean, as I see it now, we had the 17.9, which included the 6 million for the jail HVAC plumbing, which I think we, in agreement, we're not gonna do. So that removes 6 million. We talked about half of the Big Bend Drive 750. So as I see it, we're sitting at 12.65 million. And can add anything else. Again, one of the major goals here is to make sure we're able to do the projects we need to do without dipping further into fund balance. We're not gonna dip into fund balance, so if it is to be done, it needs to come from this tranche of COs here.
Judge, I would like to bring up
Yes, sir.
some of the low priority items that John had mentioned that are dominoes, so to speak, revolve around the renovation and relocation of internal county offices, particularly the steps required to move the elections office to 311 building. We've determined that the 311 building itself is not eligible for the 2026 proposed CO. So any renovation or relocation of the elections office, if we consider that as the first domino, several projects that are listed in here, such as VCAT expansion, renovation of the second floor of the Heritage Building, so on and so forth, that would be CO eligible for the 2026 proposed CO. Those are not currently considered
Okay.
in that total. So as we're talking about a 12 and a half, you may want to consider an additional buffer amount for
Yeah.
those spaces.
Well, I agree.
Judge, on this 311 thing, I mean, moving these offices and doing VCAD and getting the treasurer and auditor elections that we're discussing, I see these as very important items. I mean, is there any way in this CO process that these offices can be designated as county offices? I know they're inside of a rental building where they'll always be designated as county offices. They'll never be rented.
I think we looked at doing that, but the answer was no, was it not? Okay. However, the
mean,
other renovations outside of the 311 that would help this cascade of realignments are eligible, and that's what you're saying, Avery? We
Yes.
could- Okay. Well, I think those should be included.
Yeah.
Those should be
Yes,
included.
'cause those are
Because
important.
we're gonna do them, and we don't want to pull them from fund balance at this time. So I think those should be included.
So then the biggest question, at least from our office, is going to be for the relocation of the elections office to begin that domino cascade. Does the court have a position on how that may be funded or how our department should continue to evaluate either funding or space?
I think well, if we know we're gonna do it and the project needs to be done, I think the optimum way to fund it would be through this CO. Adding it to this.
Okay.
Unless I misunderstood
And that's,
you.
that's the issue.
But
the
how?
Current designated space for
We
the
can't.
elections office is 3.
Oh, you're talking about in the 311, not the renovation of where they're leaving.
Correct, yes, sir.
Because they're talking
Okay.
about, talking about pulling them
That's
out.
the first thing that has to happen before CO bond funds could be spent to renovate those various.
I'm
You're
with
talk-
you now.
Because you're
I'm
talking
with
about
you
pulling
now.
them out of Patty Dots and moving them here and then move VCAD into elections space, and that's one of our,
What was that amount, did you say that amount would likely be?
For the elections office?
Uh-huh.
yes.
So the amount that we had was for the elections office, but then also the treasurer's office and the auditor's office, and that was roughly $3 million. That included a significant amount of HVAC and electrical rework for the rest of the
Okay.
building that had not been addressed.
Well, there is no anticipation of pulling 3 million out of fund balance.
Correct.
So that is a good question.
Yes, sir. That's
That is a good question.
why I'm asking the question.
I would say an option other than taking it out of fund balance. In my mind, I'd rather not do it than pull it from fund balance. So if fund balance is off the table, what are we gonna do? Sarah?
I would say
You
elections is the
reacted,
priority.
what is your observation?
Bake sale?
If we could sell about 1 million cookies,
We could do a car, wa-
fund it.
we could do a car
Maybe the
wash.
Fraser Library can help us out with a fundraiser.
I mean, moving the elections is kind of a priority thing to get VCAD that space they need.
It's the
Yes, sir.
whole, it's all that would need to, basically, it's to fully finish out and redo the 311 building.
Okay.
Including a lot of the big picture HVAC and stuff that would need to be done eventually, long-term. It does make sense to include it and do it all at the same time, but with us having pulled 2 million from fund balance for those one-time expenses
Correct.
next year,
So in that case, just as a suggestion, would you like for our department to evaluate other potential tenant spaces? You know, we've kind of honed in on 311 as it's become a hub for non-extreme public-facing or low-traffic county offices that can be relocated. It would be a deviation from that investment strategy to date, but would you like for us to evaluate other locations that would be CO bond fund eligible?
yeah, yes, I have an idea.
Why don't we just stop renting out 311?
Why don't we what?
Why don't we just stop renting out 311?
We have an existing lease agreement that will still perpetuate for
Yeah.
That is a
4 more
good
years,
question.
5 more years?
I mean, really?
7.
Okay, Chris, Madison.